What's the matter? Do you need more coffee? Oh. Did it fix it?
Huh?
Is that fixed?
What?
I'm not talking to you. Why do you make that face? Yeah. Yes. Why do you whisper? Disturb who? Yes, it's live, but you whispering isn't going to change anything. Whoa, 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 what are you doing? Why are you whispering? It's making it weird. Don't be weird. It's still out of sync for me. I restarted it. I think it's me though. Do you need help? What are you looking for? They're in the dishwasher. What are you looking for? No, 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 no. Yeah, because you... No, I never do. Here, let me do it, please, please, please. No, 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 no. You can't just put that without anything. It'll leave oil on the thing. You have no, get into your towel. How much time do you want? That doesn't do anything. This thing is really, really low level. It doesn't do anything if you do that. All right, hello. What's everyone drinking this morning, and is the live back in sync? Is it in sync? Am I doing this with my thumbs? Good morning, you will have a good day. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. You're drinking Diet Coke, Destiny? Destiny. It's so early for Diet Coke. It's so early for Diet Coke. You're drinking nothing, Monster Energy drink instead of Dr. Pepper. Shandy, at this hour? Are you being serious? Ladies. All right, I need to see like either emojis or words. Who's coffee people and who are Tiva? Those are all super upsetting. You're drinking Red Bull? Bang energy drink? Are you all just trying to amp me up by telling me crazier and crazier things that you're drinking right now? Wait, this is hilarious. Correction, I don't drink coffee, so this is my caffeine. I'm drinking sweet tea. Okay, see, that somehow makes a little bit more sense to me. I don't know. Okay. Maybe what you could say is what hour it is where you are and what you're drinking, so I feel less crazy. Because yeah, sweet tea's great. If you're drinking Fanta at 7 a.m. with me here, for me it's noon. Okay, see, that makes more sense. If it's noon and you're drinking soda with your lunch or something, like my brain can adjust to that. It's 10 a.m. and I'm making coffee. That makes sense. 9 a.m. and coffee. I see that. 10 a.m. energy drink. I just got a picture from Destiny in my text messages of the Diet Coke in her hand, and I know where she lives. That's so funny. I don't drink coffee or tea. Diet Coke is the breakfast of champions. What? Why don't you sit down, Mom?
Okay.
They can't see you. The camera can't see over there. At all. It can literally see to here. Look. Literally here. Cherry Coke at 9 a.m.? Are you serious?
I have to tell you that all of my diabetic patients do that, and it's not healthy.
What do you mean your diabetic patients do that?
They drink sodas
At 9 a.m.?
anytime, and we ban them from it. It's the worst thing you can do when you're going to, are these kids young?
It's mostly adults here.
Well, first thing I do.
Wait, who's a kid and who's an adult of the soda people? Who? We're about to get doctor news. Yep. Go ahead. So what were you saying? They can't see you. They can only hear you.
The first thing I ban them from is sodas. That is like the worst thing you could ever do. Their blood sugar goes up. Once the blood sugar goes up and out of control, your arteries get smaller and smaller. You can go blind. You can have heart attacks. You can have your legs don't get enough blood to them, and you can have necrosis of your toes and to have your feet chopped off. I mean, it takes years, but this is the slippery slope. What's wrong with water and lemon for breakfast?
That is my mom talking. Good morning, Liz. My mom is talking about drinking too much soda.
Any soda.
Any soda. But don't you think that...
They could get away with it? No.
No, that's not... They let me finish the question. Don't you think that in moderation, almost anything is okay?
Not in today's world.
Not in today's world.
Because what was moderation when I grew up?
What I'm saying is, like, what if someone's like a once a week, I have a soda on Sundays as a treat drinker?
I suppose.
Like that's not gonna kill you, right?
No, but what happens is they get used to it and then they do it every day. Once it's like...
Why? Because it's so addictive?
Yeah, it's a drug. It's sugar.
Yeah, but we drink coffee every day. What makes us better?
Well, first of all, coffee has more antioxidants than an orange. It's the healthiest.
I'm making myself healthy right now.
Because of the dark antioxidants in it. It's very, very healthy. I'm sorry about the caffeine, but
I'm not sorry about the caffeine.
No, I mean, maybe someday we'll figure out the caffeine wasn't as bad as we thought.
Okay, well, now that we know what we know about...
I just read this thing about...
A lot of people are asking about diet soda. What is your opinion about diet soda?
It's poison. It's
what
poison.
Okay, but break it down for a second.
The fake sugar in it makes you lose your short-term memory. You want to lose your short-term
That's
memory?
true.
Go ahead, drink your diet sodas.
Yeah. Good morning to the both of you. Well, you and my mom are similar in that. Yeah, diet is worse than regular
I think.
because it's worse for your brain.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
And then the sugars.
What about monk fruit or stevia? Not soda, just in general.
I mean, I know a lot of people that do stevia. I personally can't stand the taste.
Yeah, but health-wise, forget the taste.
It's a plant.
So not a problem.
No.
And monk fruit, because that's literally it's a fruit that they break down into like a sugar replacement. It's too sweet for me personally. That's why I don't use it, but it doesn't have any of the problems that I'm allowed to have it. So that means it's probably fine.
When you say too sweet, you sweeter than sugar?
Oh, beyond.
Oh, I have to try it.
Oh no, it's not. It's so much. I got it for baking specifically so that I could try to bake things sugar-free.
Yeah.
And it you have to do a 1-to-1 ratio to make the baking still work. And it's so sweet that something that you've made with sugar, with, let's say, a cup of sugar in it, for as an example, and use a cup of monk fruit in the replacement, it tastes like you've added 3 cups of sugar. It's outrageous to me personally. I can't do it. Yeah, we're gonna read the book, but if you look at the thing, the little description when you came in said it's coffee and talking time and book. We do a lot of this stuff in the morning. If you only came for the book, I apologize that you are having to sit through our soda discussion, but we do this every morning, and I'm sorry. You can just wait just a sec. It's okay. We're all having a nice discussion. There were a lot of people in here who were asking questions, so since we have Mom today, and we don't always have her, and she is the actual professional in this, rather than just letting me or someone else spout lies about soda just because I personally don't drink it. We're hearing it from someone who actually deals with it on a professional basis regularly.
See 10 diabetic patients per day.
10 diabetic patients per day?
Yes. Out of my 30 patients I see a day, 10 have diabetes and hypertension and hyperlipidemia at least. So I'm dealing with this all the time of going, okay, let's start with what you eat. You are what you eat.
Well, Destiny, I don't think that you should be living in fear. I don't ever... Wait, hold on. No. Destiny is 21. She used to work at Slumu. That's how I know Destiny. Destiny, the reason I would say you should cut back is not because of this generalized fear, but because I know your other health concerns personally, because I know you in real life. If I were in your situation, I would not drink soda. I don't drink soda anyway, but knowing what I know about you, Destiny, I would not do that.
Tell them why you stopped drinking soda in high school.
I stopped drinking soda in high school because everyone else had a New Year's resolution at the Millennium and I didn't.
No, about your singing.
No, that was coffee.
Oh dear.
The soda was way before that.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, no, unrelated. I did not drink coffee for 10 years when I was working on performance technique. And the reason is caffeine dries out your vocal cords and you don't, your vocal cords don't stretch as fluidly when they're dry. And so if you drink a lot of coffee, soda, anything that dries out your vocal cords, you're not going to have as much range when you're singing. And so I did not drink coffee from 11th grade until I was through college because I was working on vocal performance and I wanted to make sure that I performed at the highest level that I possibly could skill-wise, not like audition-wise, but like just personal skill-wise. And so I didn't drink it. But once I was done with that, I got sucked back into coffee by Ellen. Ellen Marie Marsh, if you're watching this, this is your fault. It's true. It is her fault. 100% the reason that I drink coffee today is because of Ellen. It's true. But hey, Bella, what's up? Oh my gosh, what state are you in, Bella? Ellen is at fault for many things. Ellen is at fault for many things, but my personal coffee consumption is at the high end of her faults. Do you want this blanket?
No, I'm going to go back in my room with my heater.
Oh, okay. You don't want your coffee?
I'm coming back to eat.
Oh. When is the next restock? I will announce the dates for the next restock by Tuesday. I am getting my new Jars New York Finishing Collagen Mag. I will announce the dates for the next restock by Tuesday. I am getting my new Jars New York Finishing Collagen Mag. Girl, I cannot believe you are graduating. I feel like an old maid. I am getting jars on Monday. And once I have jars in hand, then I feel comfortable setting a date. So I will have a date for the next restock on Tuesday because I pick up the jars on Monday. So look out for an announcement on Tuesday about that. Yeah. Okay, so let's read. We are here to read Gauntlet by John G. Doyle. My husband just downloaded. Is he going to join us for book club? I don't even know. We started this right before I left for Las Vegas. We are on chapter 4. Oh, nice. No, oh, stupid with prices. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into chapter 4 and see where Jericho goes next. Because, that's the whole game, right? Okay. The roar of the 17,000 Roman citizens was deafening, literally. Yvonne and I blended in well, wearing our scholarly robes in the upper sections of the Colosseum. No one noticed us as we both produced a pair of earplugs and put them in. Not that it helped that much, but at least our eardrums didn't feel like they were about to burst. And they said rock music was the #1 damaging thing for ears. I'm guessing whoever came up with that statistic has never watched a bloodbath unfold in the Colosseum filled with eager, bloodthirsty Romans. As we watched the scene unfold before us and the body count start to rise, or drop would be a better term, the more men that fell, let the viewers know that their entertainment was almost at an end, and it made me somewhat proud to be an American. Obtaining money in such a place was never easy, and Rome had been no exception. After wasting 2 precious hours at the market and doing a little jumping back a day or two, Yvonne and I had handed enough money to purchase almost everything we needed for our expedition by a few truly perplexed merchants. Our buys mainly consisted of robes and sandals. I pocketed the remaining denarii and set out for the arena with Yvonne close behind. Getting in wasn't hard after a quick cash flash and a comment about the 2 of us being part of the Senate. We were ushered to some of the best seats to watch the sport. I mean, if that's what you want to call it. Let me just go on record here and say this. Blood and sand mix a little too well. For real, after a few minutes, the hot sun coupled with the hot sand results in a large, dark brown spot that's usually accompanied by the body of some poor schmuck who's just given his last breath, all for the sake of entertainment. So, am I proud to be an American? Yes. Yes, I am. I glanced over at Yvonne and I noticed that he was watching the spectacle with a shockingly cavalier attitude about the whole thing. Then I remembered that he used to be a Major League Black Ops dude. No doubt he's seen stuff almost this bad, maybe even worse. This wasn't the case for me, and I was beginning to regret my rashness in coming to the arena at all. Don't get me wrong, my travels haven't left me unscathed, and yes, I have seen folks killed. The Crusades were rough times, too rough to explain in a few pages of a history book. I had stayed in the Holy Lands almost the first month after getting my glove. I became a squire the first day, and I was working for a good-natured Englishman by the name of Sir Rodney of London. The real article, that guy was. From London and everything. After he taught me the basics of swordplay for a few weeks, our camp was attacked by raiders. Please, try and understand that I am a 22-year-old almost billionaire with a severe fanboy-like tendency. So, at the first shout of an attack, I'd run out of my tent shirtless and brandishing my claymore and a red cross shield. I discovered that my glove had a grip like a crocodile's jaw as I clenched the hilt of my broadsword and waited for the oncoming enemies. I totally blame my inner nerd for the last 2 lives that I took that night. Had I been thinking clearly, I would have just zapped back to the Windy City at the first sign of attackers. But I hadn't been thinking at all, much less clearly. Why are we fighting? What is happening? What is happening? No one's getting pinned right now, so just take a deep breath and chill out about it. Don't harass anybody. There's no harassing anyone here. Well, Shelly, you should block them from you. That's what you should do, and then they can't comment on your videos. You know what I mean? I think that's the answer. Yeah, I think that's the answer. Watching the blood hit the sand now and turning my head away just before the inevitable decapitation of the sod on his knees clutching at the deep stomach wound that had just been issued by the beheader, I recalled the surreal, primeval feeling that had gripped me that night and had been the cause for my sword-swinging true twice. Upon arriving back to Chicago the next day, I had told myself to not be so foolish again. I will defend myself if someone is trying to hurt. Will I defend myself if someone is trying to hurt me? Yes. Will I kill someone I meet in my travels if they're trying to kill me? Not if I can help it. The crowd started shouting louder, if that was even possible, to the winning gladiator to not end it too quickly. At least that's what I gathered due to the immense theatricality the victorious gladiator was flaunting to the maniacal crowd. He put his hand to his ear as if he couldn't hear what they were screaming at him, and then he nodded knowingly after a few seconds. He knew exactly what they wanted. He rolled his neck once before swinging at the man's throat, hitting the jugular vein. I didn't need my earpiece to know what the audience had been shouting. This is what the crowd came to see. Not just death. That wasn't good enough for them, but shockingly visceral, mega bloody, all-out gore was what they wanted. I turned my attention to anywhere else but the scene before me, not caring to see the winner who was probably holding up his arms to receive the blood shower that no doubtedly was already happening due to the reaction from the spectators. Somehow, I kept thinking about the violent video games that should have prepared me for this, but they didn't. This made God of War look like Winnie the Pooh. Master Johnson, it seems the match is over, Yvonne shouted next to my ear so he could be heard over the roar of the onlookers. Perhaps we should make ourselves scarce. Upon exiting the arena, we headed west, roughly in the direction of the House of the Senate. If the map on my gloves was correct, the passing people were talking about the last match. It resembled the way that teens talk about how amazing a movie they'd just seen was as they exited the theater. This notion was increased due to the teens we saw swinging imaginary swords at one side and talking about the highlights of the arena. Becca. Side note, Rome is pretty much the most amazing place I've ever traveled to. Coming from a guy who has personally watched the first stone of the Great Wall of China being laid into place and witnessed the birth and execution of Charles I in the same day, I might add. But seriously, Rome was beautiful. I never really worried about people seeing my glove in my travels. I mean, yes, it is the most advanced gadget probably ever invented so far, but I've never had anyone try and lift it. Good thing for them, too. Oh yeah, I guess it's probably the best time to tell you that the glove I keep going on about wasn't exactly made in 2012. Yes, this is the best time to tell you that. It's the best time to tell you when exactly it was made and how I, the genius prodigy who graduated college with a master's degree in history at the age of 22, had come to obtain it. Not so much. Suffice to say, I'll tell you about that later. Maybe. And you can stop with the judgment thoughts because contrary to the viewpoint of a few characters you haven't met yet, I didn't steal it. The streets were packed with Roman citizens going about their Roman ways and doing whatever it is that Romans happened to be doing at that time of day in the great city of Rome. Did I mention that I was in Rome? Anyway, it was AD 98 on a beautiful Thursday afternoon, the day my perfect time traveling life was completely dropped in the toilet. The day I finally met her. I should have been more alert, I guess. I mean, when I look back on it, I can see that I really should have been paying more attention to my surroundings. I'm also guessing that you know now that whatever horrible shenanigans my butler and I got into on that fine Thursday afternoon in AD 98 didn't cost us our lives because I've just told you that I learned a good life lesson from the experience. No, we didn't die, but I still to this day don't know how. I know, I can totally hear John in this as well. It's great. He definitely writes how he speaks. I think I do too, which is what makes it comfortable. If any of you ever get to read anything that I've written, you'll hear me in it. I love the little tangents. I know, it's just like, pew, 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 pew. Chapter 5. We had walked almost 5 minutes when the beginning of my end took place. Master Johnson, Yvonne said, placing a hand on my shoulder. What's up, Mitch? He nodded ahead of us, and I glanced around, scanning the moving crowd. And that's when I first saw her. Maybe it was because she was the only person in the crowd who seemed to be watching us. Or it could have been that she was paler than most of the tanned citizens. Her jet black hair, perhaps? But I'm thinking it was mostly because she was wearing a black leather, long-sleeve jumpsuit with black boots that reached her knees. She was also walking straight towards us. This does not bode well, I said, stating the obvious. What should we do, Master Johnson? Like I said before, we almost died that day. Mostly because I just said that, was too stupid to not see the danger when it was swaying up to me in black-heeled boots. Let's just see what she wants, Mitch, I said, dropping my voice lower. Keep your guard up, though. There was no context, really, Shelley. She came to a stop in front of us and looked us both up and down. Jericho Johnson, she said. Hey, B. Sounding like a villainess that has finally met her nemesis. That's me, I said, smiling. Nice outfit, by the way. She returned the smile, and I must confess, she was beautiful, in a kind of looks like she could kill you with a phone cord kind of way. Her smile wasn't pleasant, though. It was the classic, I know more than you know, type of smile. How has Rome treated you thus far, Mr. Johnson? Been to the arena? She asked with an odd amount of malice and calm. And to my puzzlement, I noticed she had a slight Russian accent. Please, call me Jericho, I said, my voice almost sarcastic. This is my partner in time, Yvonne Mitchells. And now, how can we help you? You find yourself clever, no? She said, consulting her glove. Wait, what? Yeah, she had a gauntlet like mine. It was black and on her left hand, and it was the same in every other way. Nice setup, lady, I said, looking at the glove and glancing at mine. You find yours too? I did not steal mine as you did, if that's what you mean. I opened my mouth to tell her that I hadn't stolen my gauntlet of time, but I suddenly felt like I was being pulled over by some time cop, and for some reason that really got under my skin. So how long is this going to take? I asked in a bored tone. I could feel Mitch behind me, coiled tight and ready for anything, and I was glad he was there. Which part? She asked, closing out whatever she was leafing through on her glove and looking at me, her head cocked a little to the side. Me taking back what you stole, or me having to hurt you to get it? Yeah, that's not going to happen, I said. If that's all you're offering, I'm going to bid you a good day. Go try the mice a few streets over. I promise you won't be disappointed by them. I tried to step past her, but she got back in my way quickly. I don't think you understand exactly what I'm saying to you, she said. Let me try again. I heard the unholy hum emanating from her glove, and I knew what she probably had, some same weapon/defense system that I had, and she probably actually read the digital manual. I was ordered to retrieve the glove from you at any cost. Your life means nothing. Hey, I said, looking super excited and beaming at her while holding up a gloved finger. Here's an idea. When she was out cold on the cobblestone. Then she was out cold on the cobblestone. What? She, threatened my life, man. You think I have a problem punching some psycho chick's lights out after she basically said she's going to kill me? Not hardly. Time's up, Mitch, I said, stepping over the mysterious woman's crumpled body. I hear the Windy City calling our names. She could follow us, sir, Yvonne said. She does have that capability. After a few brief moments of thought, I said, all right, I know what I can do. I love that not reading the manual continuously comes up. I know. Super aggressive. That came freaking out of nowhere. Even as I was reading it, I was like, wait, what? I have to reread it because I did not realize that he had just punched her in the face. Woo! John, keep it together, friend. Okay. I know, all of a sudden she was on the ground. I was like, wait, why? Why? Why is she on the ground? Why did somebody hit her? Okay, chapter 6. Of course I couldn't just zap back to my mansion in Chicago. No, that would have been too easy for me, and also for whoever psycho chick happened to be working for. So after Yvonne and I had ducked between two large structures, I punched in a date and hit enter, and then I grabbed Yvonne's shoulders and watched his feet begin to vanish. My feet were also disappearing. This is what always began going first. It took a good 10 to 15 seconds for our whole bodies to slip away from Rome. Let me point out that I have never, to this day, let the feeling of jumping from one time to another become common to me, especially when we jump from a good 80-degree weather to an almost freezing climate. The weather was what changed mostly because we hadn't jumped to another place simply, but also another time. The weather was what changed mostly because we hadn't jumped to another place, but simply just another time. The Holy Roman Emperor, year of our Lord 1228, right at the start of the Sixth Crusade, which was led by Frederick II, Holy Roman Emperor and quite the troublemaker. Well, not really led, because it took him years to get off his lazy butt and actually accompany the troops that he had sent out. He did most of his crusading back about 8 years ago during the Fifth Crusade, but he was also at diplomatic war with the papacy. Big no-no for a Roman emperor, let me tell you that. The date of his actual coronation was 1220, but he was really leading the country before that. I love it too, Destiny. The streets were covered with snow as we made our way across it, shivering in our white robes. "What is the date, Master Johnson?" Yvonne inquired, trying to keep his teeth from chattering. January 1228, I told him, trying to no avail, I might add, to keep my own teeth from clacking together. "Come on, Mitch, pull yourself together." I somehow, at the time, found our current situation extremely hilarious and began laughing as we walked along the white streets. "I've been dreaming of a white Italy," I crooned through my drumming teeth while smiling like a maniac. "Not far now, Mitchie. I know a guy we can get some gear from. And if the guard happens to ask you anything about the emperor, be sure to answer him back that the Pope was right about the excommunication of him again and totally rocks for it. That should keep us out of a cell with the other insurgents." Yvonne nodded. Not that I needed to remind him that the good Frederick II had actually been excommunicated on 4 different occasions and was even referred to as the Antichrist by Pope Gregory IX. The streets were pretty much deserted. Good thing, too. I forgot that after the riots, due to the second, or possibly third excommunication, a curfew had started. So after ducking behind abandoned carts and into dark alleyways to avoid patrols, we reached our destination. Our safe haven. A semi-small hovel right off the street. Though it was late, even by partying Chicago standards, the place was bustling with activity. The only window flickering brightly from the many candles that had and considerably large fireplace. I wish I knew history so I could understand all the accuracy. Yeah. I mean, technically it doesn't even have to be accurate. I don't know. I didn't ask him if he did any research. We should ask him. But it definitely doesn't have to be accurate because the whole point of... Shelley, one of the things that he said in the first chapter of the book is that history books got a lot wrong. And so by setting it up that way, I guess it doesn't technically need to be accurate. I don't know. Yeah, it would be interesting if it was. I don't know. I had discovered a long time ago just how safe taverns were. I mean, these low-life places had it all, man. Not only that, it seemed that the only thing that changed since the first caveman bar is the installment of a television somewhere in the 1900s. But the overall atmosphere hasn't changed one bit. "You cheat!" a man screamed, leaping up from his chair at a table and pulling out a dagger. "I will cut out your tongue." See, later on down the road, they'll be threatening the same thing about a TV. Yvonne was right behind me as we entered the warm tavern. I'll go ahead and let you guys know that we stuck out like a sore thumb. 2 guys wearing Senate robes in the middle of winter, walking into the unholiest place this side of the holy city. Not only that, but there hadn't been a Senate in over 20 years or so. "Evening, guys," I said, giving them all a little wave. "We robbed these from a couple of schmucks by the south gate. Get a load of these things," I added while grabbing a handful of white to show the bunch. It seemed to do the trick because the whole lot of them fell over laughing, and Sir Dagger-a-Lot even put away his weapon with a smile. Yvonne and I received slaps on the back all the way to the bar, where a smirking man who was missing his left eye and a couple of fingers stood behind it, wiping what was left of his hand with a rag. Jericho, he said, still smirking, "to what do I owe this honor?" I sat on a stool and exchanged fist bumps with him. "You know me, Seth," I said. "I was just in the neighborhood, and I thought that I'd drop by and let you know, and see how things are getting along on your end of the world." Sir Dagger's-a-Lot, a new rapper. Maybe, I don't know. Seth smiled and then cut his eye at Yvonne, who had just sat down next to me. After a second or two of inspection, he raised his eyebrow at me. "He's with me," I reassured him. "Yvonne, meet Seth, the one-eyed, 7-fingered phenomenon of the Roman Empire." Seth bowed dramatically. "At your service." Yvonne nodded grimly. "Charmed." "Ignore him, Seth," I said. "He's a tad nervous right now, with the riots and the curfew and whatnot." "Yes, it seems our liege has gone and got himself cast out by the church once again, Seth chuckled. So what kind of trouble are you into this time, boy? Hey, I said. 1, don't call me boy. 2, what makes you think I'm in trouble? The Roman's eye had a glint in it when he smiled. Poor lighting in the hovel, I guess. Do you ever just drop by for anything else? Morning, happy to have this to listen to while I get ready to teach. Good morning. I watched him closely. The papal state needs a little insight at times, buddy, which brings me to the reason that I pay you. Seth shrugged off. I suppose. Follow me. He lifted the bar entrance so that we could follow him to the back door, a back door that led to a frozen walkway, which led to a snow-covered cabin-like object, which we entered. The one-eyed man lit a candle. Sorry for the cold. Had I known that you were going to be spying right in the middle of the complete anarchy we have going on, I would have lit the fire. No worries, Seth, I said, rubbing my hands together and ignoring the man's sarcasm. We'll need some new clothes as well. Swords? A battle axe would suit me better, but if you can't find a good one, a gladius will do. With a wooden handle, though, not that ivory junk. Yvonne will have the longest sword, and that's the longest sword that they... This is a tongue twister. Yvonne will have the longest sword that these short sword-loving Romans have around here. Seth was nodding and making mental notes. No shields, then? Maybe if you guys didn't use shields the size of a Hummer. Seth gave me a confused look. I mean the size of a chariot. Well, they are rather large. I know. We'll make do without them. Seth left us in the cold shack to go collect our list. We ended up both sitting close to the candle, holding our hands next to the flame. Not that it warmed us any, but it made us feel better all the same. I took this time to explain our standings in the year of our Lord, 1228. We were spies for the papal state, and Seth was our traitor accomplice who was aiding our goals. I had started this charade a while back and returned every so often, mainly just to check up on Seth, but this whole medieval espionage life was quite fun to dabble in, and to hide from the crazy time-traveling woman who was trying to kill me. It took Seth about 2 hours to grab our gear, of which, I might add, contained not one battle axe. The one-eyed man apologized more than once for this and kept saying he hadn't seen a good axe in years, to which I pointed out that if the papal states won the war, there would be battle axes for all. I tested the balance of my gladius, Romans. You never had to worry about the lack of glamour with these dudes. It was still a cool short sword, to be sure, but the intricate carvings got a little old. Seth had somehow managed to uproot a long broadsword from somewhere for Yvonne. Had I known that you had such a variety of weaponry, I would have put in an order for a claymore or two, I muttered. Sorry, Jericho, Seth said, shrugging. That was left by some traveler many years ago. Figured it'd do better service with you two than letting it rust in a corner. The clothes he scored were black wool, and pretty comfy for wool, I mean. Once we shucked our robes and donned the new clothes, we said goodbye to Seth and departed with our new weapons in tow. I know what you're thinking. He said that he almost died on that day, didn't he? Where's all the bloody chaos, man? See, I told you I knew what you were thinking. I'm pleased to inform you that I never came to bloody chaos just then. And by just then, I mean making it back to the street and walking for almost 5 minutes to the city gate. No action to speak of in that peaceful, snow-covered walk. Only after we exited the city did the bloody chaos hit. And you thought you were hearing a kid's story. Psycho Chick saw us before we saw her. If the crater in the city's gate was the size of a watermelon... If Psycho Chick saw us before we saw her, if the crater in the city's gate size of a watermelon was anything to go by. The blue streak of lightning tore a hole when it missed my melon by almost 3 feet. Yvonne dashed to my left, leaving me. Smart guy, that one. Thinking back on it, I can see that he was splitting up, hoping that 2 targets was better than 1, if you happen to be rooting for the said targets, that is. Of course, right then it took me a few seconds to get over the initial shock of my pal leaving me before I kicked into action. Psycho Chick, are we talking about my ex? Oh, Destiny. Oh, Destiny. Maybe. I mean, she is a time traveler, so who knows? Of course, right then it took me a few seconds to get over the initial shock of my pal leaving me before I kicked into action. Oh, sorry, I already said that. I darted in the opposite direction and hit a button on my glove. So she wanted to play with electricity, huh? Psycho Chick was about 30 yards ahead of me when I swung my hand up to return fire. My bolt struck home. That is to say that it struck her, but she jerked her own glove upward and my bolt was deflected off of something. What was that? Some sort of force field? Great. And just when I thought my day couldn't possibly get any worse. Cheater, I said automatically. Psycho Chick laughed and snapped her gloved fingers. Sparks shot everywhere from the friction. Where's your friend? I guess she figured out that I wouldn't fire any more bolts because she started glancing around looking for Yvonne. Guess all of her research hadn't shown her how trigger-happy we full-blooded Americans really were. Shield or not, I wasn't about to just sit there. I rushed forward, firing a bolt and holding the blue stream upon her stupid shield that she had thrown up. Holding a steady flow of blue electricity had a downside, I found out. The down being that in the event that I were to hold the stream for more than 20 seconds, my glove would start smoking. Not a good sign at all. The upside, though, is that I looked totally wicked while doing it. The Russian woman watched my mad dash, but because I'm thinking she really couldn't do anything about it, partly because, well, she didn't do anything about it, and partly because of how mad she looked when I stopped the stream just before I barreled through her shield, which, might I add, wasn't designed to keep out loads of testosterone, adrenaline, and pure awesomeness into her. When I say that I went through her shield and my rushing body hit her, I'm not saying I performed a beautiful hurricane kick to her face. No, I'm not saying that at all. All thoughts of finesse abandoned, I leaned into my dash and planted my shoulder right into Psycho Chick's stomach. I also made a mental note never to tackle someone like that again, because I'm pretty sure that we were both equally hurt in the whole ordeal. Yvonne had been planning some kind of sneak attack on her or something, but to be honest, I think my kamikaze maneuver threw a monkey wrench in the whole plan. He found the two of us writhing on the ground in pain, me clutching my shoulder while Psycho Chick held her stomach with one hand and tried to hold up her gloved hand to attack. I was also starting to think that she had some kind of body armor on because I was really aching after our bout. Yvonne Mitchells, being the ever-clever, gentlemanly man that he was, planted a boot on her glove and crushed it into the snow. "Who are you working for?" he inquired. Man, but that guy really gets to the point. Not only that, but he was being pretty calm about the whole shenanigan. Don't get me wrong, I pride myself on being among the most cavalier of dudes, but not when someone was trying to kill me. All my cavalierness, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not a word, went out the emotional window when Psycho Chick showed up with all her threats to my well-being. Summed up, I guess you could say Jericho lost his cool for a few seconds. "Yeah, who?" I shouted loudly while I struggled to my feet, holding my shoulder. "Tell them I want to put an order in for your annoying force field and body armor." Psycho Chick glared up at me while she grabbed at Yvonne's boot with her free hand. She wasn't trying to get away, so I'm thinking that human reflex was to blame. I also figured that if some ex-hitman had my hand smashed into the snow, I'd probably grab aimlessly too. "I'm not wearing body armor, you fool," she muttered. I decided then and there that a change of subject was in order, and that's all I needed was my curiosity as to why her abs felt like a brick wall was to be discussed in the freezing elements. "Grab her, Mitch. Let's take her back to the safe house." Well, okay then. Chapter 7. "So," I began, "let's all just take a step back and breathe." I took a deep breath, let it out, and then glanced at Yvonne and Psycho Chick, wondering why they weren't following my lead. Everybody take a deep breath. Come on. After staring at them for too long, they both seemed to get the idea and took deep breaths themselves. "That's better, right? We're all feeling good now?" Yvonne shrugged while Psycho Chick glared at me. I'm really getting tired of saying Psycho Chick, so let me clear that part up. "So, what's your name?" I asked. "What are you going to do, Jericho? Google me?" I narrowed my eyes at the bound woman, who upon closer inspection, whilst either tackling her or tying her hands behind her back, wasn't really a woman at all. Old enough to buy alcohol, I was thinking, but barely. "Oh, I'm sorry. You somehow haven't realized that you're tied up and you aren't in control anymore." Sarcasm. "That'll have the lady loving you, Mr. Johnson." Maybe if she hadn't been snippy first, things would have been a tad different in our discussion. Yvonne and I decided that her glove needed to come off ASAP, so we removed it right after our tumble in the snow. She didn't produce a knife or a gun or anything, so I was hoping that maybe her precious glove was the only defense that she had. So that's a no on your name? Chloe. So you're what, German or something? I knew she was Russian, but I also knew that Russians hated being mistaken for Germans, and I wasn't about to let her get an edge. I am Russian, Chloe confirmed. You sure? I frowned. German, Russian, same thing really. Since your nationality doesn't concern me. Chloe glared at me. Get used to hearing that because she glared a lot. It should, considering that Russia created the glove that you've been using for your little joy rides through time. No flipping way. I wasn't really expecting that. Granted, I knew that whoever invented it couldn't have been American, not to sound unpatriotic, but Americans really just let other countries create the good stuff and then pounce on the idea. That is extremely poignant this week. I know he wrote this years ago, but that hits pretty hard this week, my friends, let me tell you. I could already see an off-brand time-traveling glove at Walmart. Let me guess, it was your father who's dead now or something equally lame and overdone. I shot back. You know nothing, she began, a smile coming to her lips. And not the good kind of smile, might I add. It was the kind that let you know whatever else the smiler had to say was something that you probably didn't want to hear. You just do whatever you want and you never tell yourself no. Anyone that's not you comes into your mind, and when you have the inkling to show off, you are without a doubt one of the most self-centered, impulsive, unfeeling humans that I have ever encountered. I hate to say that everything she said was pretty much true, but at the time I didn't really feel like being lectured. That's just it, Chloe. You don't know me. We've known each other for about, I glanced at the time on my glove, 4 hours now. Only had contact for like 30 minutes of that, so you can keep your life lesson speeches for someone you've actually met before. Yvonne laid a hand on my shoulder. Master Johnson. Chloe's smile vanished halfway through my rant, and one side of her mouth twitched a little when I finished. She looked like whatever she was thinking was either annoying, amusing, or both. We've known each other a lot longer than that. What? That's when I took note of Yvonne's hand. I glanced at him with a frown. Your class, sir. Then it all came back. I closed the gap between Chloe and me, and I reached for her face, turning it sideways. Mona? I asked. And then I instantly felt stupid. But of course she was Mona. Funny how a teacher as good with details could miss one of his students when all she did was lose her glasses and dye her hair. Just so you know, I said, taking a step back and pointing an accusing finger at the imposter, if you don't kill me before I make it back to Chicago, I am so failing you. Oh, please don't fail me, Mr. Johnson, she gasped, wide-eyed. I just don't know what I'd do if my peers from the year 2340 found out that I flunked history in 2012. I cut my eyes at Yvonne. You wouldn't by any chance happen to have a gag or something on you, would you? The butler shook his head. Not at the moment, Master Johnson. Will you please stop calling him that? Chloe decided to cut in, really making a whole no-gag situation much more annoying. Listen, Mona, I said, glaring at her. Great, now she was glaring at me. If you paid almost $1 million a year to drive my limo, change my sheets, you'd call me master too, so zip it. I don't know, Chloe said with a cocked head. I'd have to look at your sheets first. Hi, Sophia. So what's to keep me from convincing my extremely devout insurgent homies that you're a traitor to their cause and require immediate termination? Chloe laughed at that. What, you think you're the only one with homies in different eras? I'd like to think so. You thinking is a recipe for disaster. Your face is a recipe for disaster. Wow, why am I even telling you this part? I mean, really. That did really happen, but I just don't like me not being in control. Whatever, details. It's all about the details. Remember that, whoever you are. You mentioned something about the year 23 something, I said, trying to steer her back. 2340. Yeah, is that where you're from? Why would I want to cooperate with you again? She asked. Morning, Jody. I sighed. Man, this girl was tiring. Look, if you promise not to kill me, I'll untie you. Partly because the robes aren't distressing you, but mainly because you'll answer a few questions. Chloe eyed me a few seconds and then said, and if I choose not to answer your questions? I shrugged. I'm feeling generous, so I might not take your glove with me when I split if you answer my flipping questions. That got her attention. Ask your questions, she said, sitting on the dirt floor. Start with whoever invented the glove. Chloe started braiding her black hair. That's a statement. I just stared at her. Are you really serious right now? She laughed. No, you're just as funny when your feathers are ruffled. No, you're just funny when your feathers are ruffled. She was halfway done with her hair when she actually started. My father, Dr. Atrium Sparks, was the one who discovered the phenomenon. He spent a good part of his life searching for it and finally stumbled on it in 2335. She pointed to my glove for emphasis. Don't ask me what makes these things work. It's a long story and I don't want to go into it. I know what the outside's made of, I ventured. Other than that, you know more than I do. The glove you happened upon is the first of only 3 in existence. A year after that glove's creation, my father decided that it could never fall into the wrong hands and made it vanish. Chloe stopped her tale and looked at me. Tell me, truly, did you steal the glove from my father? The answer was no. I hadn't mugged her dad and lifted the whole time Rolex thing off of him, but I wasn't sure that I wanted her to know that I was innocent just yet. I guess that all depends on what future Russians define as theft. Chloe looked at me blankly. Since she wasn't glaring, I was just starting to feel our relationship was smoothing out some. I mean, aside from her trying to kill me and all that. All right, I said to her. You want the truth? Here it is. I patted my glove. I found this little jewel inside a container made from hard plastic lead buried in Arizona. This was as far-fetched as it seemed, but completely true. Chloe chewed on her lip and thought, looking ever the cutest while she did it. Geez, assassin, Johnson. Crazy psycho chick from the future, man. Near, Flagstaff? The Russian asked. Now it was my turn to chew on my lip. Instead, my mouth dropped open like an idiot. Yeah, I stammered, falling even more into a pit of idiocy. How'd you know? Chloe simply shrugged. Not much left of your country where I come from, or when I come from, I suppose. Apparently she was done until she saw me raise my eyebrows. I suppose this would be the best time to tell you that America as you know it will be abolished in 2076. You know, I don't find that hard to believe. Yeah, now probably was the best time for that little piece of info. After the California incident in 2017, your government was in shambles. To be honest, the rest of the world was surprised the U.S. made it 2076 to start with. I didn't ask what the California incident was, mainly because I'm pretty sure I knew what happened. What? It's basically sitting on a sandbar infested with pipes full of highly explosive gases, you guys. So what does all of this have to do with Flagstaff? I asked. After your government finally collapsed, Mother Russia moved in. I'll spare you all the details of the uprising in 2200. World War IV was in 2278, and the Civil War that's happening in my time right now, suffices to say that the planet can only burn so many times, Jericho. Flagstaff, Arizona is one of the few remaining cities left in what was once America. This was a lot to take in. Like a severely large amount to take in. I'm surprised that you, with the glove power, haven't ventured into the future. Why is that? I shrugged. Although it was true, from the moment I found my glove and started my expeditions in the past, I had made an unwritten, unannounced rule that traveling too far into the future was off limits. Maybe I just want to leave the future to God, I said, trying to sound sarcastic, but not really pulling it off. Or maybe you're just afraid, she said, completely seeing through my fabricated persona. The same one that I'd been cultivating for years. You're probably telling yourself that your travels are to prove history wrong, when in truth, you're just really going because you know what's coming. This is just a game to you, and history itself is your walkthrough. The only thing you've ever feared is the unknown. Why else would you have started pushing yourself at such a young age to achieve knowledge? To you, knowing how to accomplish something is better than the accomplishment itself. You have to know what's coming, don't you? Chloe had long since lost her college girl attitude and had once again become the murderous Russian. Tell me, Jericho, she said, leaning towards me. Did you see me coming? No, I don't think he did. Chapter 8. To say that I was speechless would be, in fact, a lie, a big one. I had a lot of things to say to little Miss Russia over here, but in the end, all I ended up saying was for her to tell me more about why she was trying to kill me. That sounded like something that needed to be cleared up. Wer von Klaus? I frowned. Who has a clown? Chloe narrowed her eyes at me. Since this was a little glare, I started to think that maybe we were getting off on the right foot for once. Wer von Klaus is the name of the man who sent me. Oh, I nodded slowly. So I just need to go talk to him and then clear up this whole misunderstanding in a flash? Considering that he sent me to kill you, yes, I'd say that things would be cleared up in a flash at your meeting, said the Russian girl. So why the college girl ruse? I asked her. You've been in my class for years. 6 months, Chloe corrected. Really? I asked, frowning slightly. Odd. You sure I haven't failed you a few times already? Chloe smiled at that before finally telling me what I wanted to know. I had to find out if you even had the glove in the first place. So much for being the picture of carefulness. Upon my stating this, Chloe suddenly burst out into pearls of laughter. So the future predicting, all-knowing, history-loving billionaire was careful. After she got the reins pulled back in on her funny horse, she said, the people of your time were easy to fool because they know nothing of true suffering. Sure, America has always had their fair share of sticky situations, but in the end, they've always come out on top. Now they're presented with someone who can, to them, predict the future. Should they embrace this newfound Superman or pick apart every detail to find out what's really going on because, of course, men aren't capable of such feats as these? I could answer that, which was, I guess, what Chloe wanted because apparently she wasn't finished. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? Of course, I answered. I hated all 3 endings of that movie. It was rather odd, I'd say, Yvonne threw in. Chloe rolled her eyes. Yes, I know about the theory that relates to trampling on insects. What's your point? My point, Chloe said, is that one of these field trips of yours, sooner or later, you're going to mess up something big. Man, she really wasn't going to like what I was about to say. I already tested that theory, and it didn't pan out, I said casually. What have you done? She asked, aghast. Shrugging, I said, not much. I just punched Da Vinci in the face and made made sure a certain emperor didn't have a fiddle when Rome burnt. Easy stuff. After looking at me for what seemed like a long time, Chloe said, and? I shrugged again. And nothing. That's just it. Nothing happened differently. That doesn't make any sense, she said, looking confused for the first time. Not really when you think about it, I told her. We've all just been looking at time the wrong way. Instead of the past being this ever-flowing life stream that makes the future possible, it's just the past. Look at it like time takes a picture every millisecond. When we go back in time, it's like stepping on a painted sidewalk. Our presence on the sidewalk doesn't change the painting. Neither does whatever we do while we're there. Chloe had been listening to this intently, which I was thinking was a good sign. So I guess what I'm really trying to ask you is, since you and I know that your butterfly effect theory is a bust, what's the real reason you're trying to kill me? I don't have to kill you. I just need the glove. I watched her brow furrow in thought as she chewed at the side of her lip a little. After doing this for too long, she finally said, I told you your glove was unique, yes? I shook my head. You said there were 2 others and that was pretty much it. Well, the glove you found was the first one my father created, she said. He tried to keep its existence a secret, but that's when the whole operation was funded by Klaus, and it was only a matter of time before he found out. Then it all started making sense, or about as much sense as a crazy story like this could anyway. So your dad hid it in the past somewhere near Flagstaff. Exactly. The construction of the second glove was for that purpose alone. Wait, hold up, I told her. You're saying that your old man built a whole other glove just to hide this one in the past? The first glove possesses two important things that its cousins lack. Chloe said simply, I can only make one jump in a 12-hour period with mine, whereas you can change time every few seconds should you choose. I frowned, examining my glove. No kidding. Not only that, but the first glove is also the only one of the three capable of transporting others simply by touch, whether you're taking them with you or bringing them back. I stopped checking out my gauntlet of time long enough to give her a horrified look. Bringing them back? Like people from the past to the present? She nodded. Wow. I had never in my wildest dreams and most crazy ideas that had to do with time travel ever even considered doing that. That would be complicated. You can also move as many people as you want so long as they're all connected, Chloe added. What is your father's connection with Verd von Klaus? Yvonne asked. Klaus is a severely wealthy man who somehow heard about a thesis my father wrote years ago on time travel. Before any of us knew it, my father was approached by Klaus, who asked him how much it would take to make his thesis possible. Father told him, and then they were shipped to a facility in Flagstaff owned by Klaus, where my father lacked for nothing. And how did you fit into all this? You're like, what, 20? I asked. 22, she corrected me in annoyance. I was 20 when I began helping my father in the lab, and then she told us the rest of the story, how her father labored over a year before creating the first glove and finding out that Klaus hadn't been playing with the full deck to start with and wanted the glove for that reason, for reasons, of course, that Chloe didn't know, but were most likely evil, conniving ones. Then her father made another one in secret and hid the original bodacious one found by yours truly in the past. The only hang-up along the way was that Klaus found out about Dr. Atrium Sparks' little swap out. That's when Klaus took my father into custody and told me to find the other glove or he'd kill him. So how long have you been searching? I inwardly grimaced when I asked. Over a year, she confirmed. Geez, I muttered. Was I supposed to say? So all you need is the glove? I asked. Chloe brightened a little. You'll give it back? I never said that. Deflating a little, she said, yes, that's all I need. I sighed. Man, life bites sometimes. I mean, here I am, the time-traveling billionaire who's cut short because of some crazy guy in the future with a weird name. I thought for almost a minute and then came up with a plan. Not the best plan, but it had good parts for either party. Okay, Chloe, here's the deal. Why don't we switch gloves? You tell Klaus that the other one was destroyed or something, but you'll have your dad's no-kill ticket. I could tell that Chloe wasn't too thrilled about my plan, but she could also tell that she probably wasn't going to get a better offer, so she said, fine, I suppose you and your butler will want to get back to Chicago first? Yes, that'd be best, I said. Grab your gear, Mitch. Don't get me wrong, whoever you are, because I wasn't too thrilled about this little arrangement myself, but I was thinking that a downgrade was a whole lot better than losing the whole glove completely. The book is Gauntlet. It's called Gauntlet. In exactly 1 minute, we were all standing together in the center of the shack. Yvonne put a hand on my shoulder while Chloe awkwardly placed her hand on my other shoulder. You kids buckle up, I said while punching in the date for Chicago. I guess it wouldn't be too bad. I mean, Chloe would get her dad back and Mitch and I would still get to be partners in time. That was the plan. Well, sort of anyway, since apparently I wouldn't be able to take anyone with me after the downgrade. And like most plans made when time travel was concerned, it didn't work out. Like, at all. Didn't work out at all. Do we end there on a cliffhanger or do we read one more little chapter? It didn't work out, like at all. I don't know. It's 3 more pages to finish the next chapter. Should we do it? It's not long. One more. I need to turn Zoe saying one more into a sound for TikTok so that we can all use it. Chapter 9. Welcome to my humble abode, I said as we appeared in my lab. Make yourself at home. Can I get you anything? Just the glove, Chloe said, glancing around. Nice collection of weapons. I know, right? I said, laughing. Just a wee bit of blaze, lass. Chloe looked at me, extending a hand. Seriously, the glove? Yvonne had, by this time, already placed Chloe's glove in the glass case, or I guess it was my glove now. Okay, Chloe, I'm a man of my word. No, you're not. Okay, not really, but just this once I am. I removed my glove, gave it a farewell pat, and then handed it over to the Russians. I didn't think that was happening. Ha! Chloe slipped it on easily and then made a face. It's sweaty inside. I crossed my arms. It was either from you trying to kill me the first time, the second time, or your charming Russian personality. Take your pick. Guess what she did? If your guess was that she glared at me, you're dead wrong. Sir or ma'am, maybe. I don't really know who you are or care. But no, she did not glare. Chloe smiled. You're insane, she said. Although I noticed her smile didn't disappear. I wouldn't care if it was left on a corpse for a year. I'm just glad to have it back. This is a bit of an odd tale, huh? I mean, one minute Chloe's trying to kill me, and the next we're laughing together and switching gloves like it's no problem. Too bad it didn't remain that tranquil. Stepping a few feet away, Chloe began punching in a date. Thank you, Jericho. You made the right choice. Of course I did, I said. Finishing the date, she hit enter, giving Yvonne and me a wave. We returned the wave and waited a bit for little Miss Russia to vanish from our lives for good. And then vanish she didn't. Then she didn't vanish again. Wait, that made like 0 sense. The point is, she didn't go back to the future. Geez, I'm not really explaining this well, am I? Okay, start over. Chloe hit enter, waved, but then for some reason did not go forward in time. Frowning, she glanced at the glove, punching in a few buttons on the touchscreen. After doing this for a second or two, and then saying some very not nice sounding words in Russian, she thrust her glove hand at me in frustration. What is wrong with this thing? You had it in your possession for a grand total of literally 20 seconds, Chloe, and you've broken it already? I scolded her while snatching the glove away. I didn't do anything. You're the one who's had it for so long. Yeah, but it always worked, I muttered, examining the silver glove. There's nothing wrong with it, I said. Maybe it just doesn't like you. Chloe didn't think that was very funny. Please do not try to say anything stupid for the next 2 minutes. I narrowed my eyes at her. Note, I did not glare. Distinction. She punched in the dates again, trying to take her home. When this attempt failed, Chloe lost it. Just how much she lost it, I cannot say really, because I don't speak Russian. And honestly, I'm severely glad that I didn't at the time, since she seemed really upset about the whole glove not working. So now she can't save her father thing. Somehow, a sword ended up in her hand, and I ducked before receiving its point against my neck, and she backed me against a wall. Note from Sasha, there's a bunch of Russian, like Russian characters here. I don't read Russian, so I can't, if it was in, Roman characters, I would be able to read it, but I can't read Russian, y'all. So she screamed something back. I don't speak Russian, I screamed back at her, holding my hands up in the air and turning my face away, eyes squeezed against her vehemence. I really don't. More Russian, Chloe tried again. I sighed, opened my eyes, and then I looked at her. You'll have to threaten me in plain old English to get what you want. Shoulders sagging, Chloe dropped her broadsword and then put her hands on her hips, looked me in the eye, and fainted. I'm going to go with being too shocked to look up from her threatening my life with a broadsword to be quick enough to catch her before she hit the marble floor really hard. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. And not to split hairs or point fingers, but I didn't see Yvonne jumping out like the flipping Flash and saving her from face planting onto the cold floor either. Not like he was one to be decapitated by a crazy Russian chick, but you'd think he would have been quicker on the draw, you know what I mean? Wait, that reminds me. And where in the Hellheim were you when she snagged the sword and tried to kill your employer, Mitch? Taking a nap? Since he knew that I was, in fact, shook up, and so wittingly put it, Yvonne didn't even answer. Yeah, that's my pal right there. He always knows just what to say, or what not to say, rather. I'm afraid Madame Chloe will be needing medical attention, Master Johnson. No way. I'm not about to have any doctors looking after little Miss Russia from the future. She's probably blood type Z or something weird like that. Well, come on, Mitch. Don't just stand there. Let's get her up to the house. Where should we be taking her, sir? Shrugging, I picked up the crumpled girl and tossed her over my shoulder like a sack of potatoes. An extremely wonderful smelling sack of potatoes at that. Funny how you don't notice how someone smells while you're fighting for your life. I don't know. That's a you and Louise thing. I just own the house, remember? Might I start by suggesting one of the 3 master bedrooms, sir? They're quite comfortable, and they also have the facilities necessary for caring for a patient, Yvonne was saying while following me to the elevator. Stopping suddenly before stepping inside it, I turned slightly and asked, how bad is this, Mitch? Really? I waited for him to answer for a few seconds, and at first I thought that he wasn't going to answer at all, and had just started to finish... I waited for him to answer for a few seconds. At first, I thought he wasn't going to answer at all, and had just started to finish my entrance inside the elevator when I heard him saying, if all the girl's saying is true, then this is very bad, sir. He stepped in with me and pressed a button. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. This is pretty fun, you know? It's a really fun book. John did a really good job making it really fun to read. Very bad, sir. Very bad. All right. So I'm going to go get some work done because that is what I need to do today. But it's a blast. We just finished chapter 9, I think. Yeah, we just finished chapter 9. So we are on chapter 10, technically. So I don't mean to start this discussion too early, but this book feels like it's going to go pretty fast. So I'm probably going to make a post where we decide. Yeah, I might do a slime live later, Addie. We should probably do a post where we decide what our next book is going to be. We can go directly into book 2 of his series since book 3 is coming out soon if we want, or we can do something else and then come back to book 2. I don't know. We can decide together. All right. I'll talk to y'all later.